we're both so excited just to keep taking it day by day. I mean, honest to God, we're in a relationship where just like every other person, we have great days and we have other days that we argue and bicker like an old married couple. But it's still, we're in such a good position, and we're just very lucky right now to have each other.
Would you let Chris Harrison officiate your wedding?
Ooh, yeah, of course. Chris is an awesome guy. I always say, I don't know. I really clicked with Chris, not only filming, but off camera as well.
I totally agree. Okay, wait, so you didn't watch this season. So, Peter, we think now is with Kelley Flanagan. You don't have any scoop on that one?
I have no scoop. To be honest with you, I have very little scoop in the Bachelor world, but, I don't know. I think that whatever makes him happy, he needs to do now, because he needs to find a way to get something out of that show, because coming out empty-handed isn't cool.
What about Clare Crawley? Do you see they announced her for the new Bachelorette? What do you think about that one?
I think Claire's going to be an awesome Bachelorette, and I hope to God that she sort of, in a weird way, gets the show back on track about finding love instead of drama. First, I like to address, it's sort of awkward to be promoting a book, especially times like this, but also cool in the fact that it could hopefully serve as a distraction, or it could help people maybe understand themselves better or answer questions they had about The Bachelor. We all have a little bit of extra time on our hands right now. So I was so excited to have it released and have it come out, because, for me, it was so therapeutic. It was so emotional to write and share. And I just hope that people enjoy it.
What was the most emotional part about writing the book? Was there one chapter that really stood out?
I think just the overall context of the book, of realizing I internalized a lot of problems and little issues, and I let them sort of build up and never really address them. I think that was more so something that I realized, and it was very therapeutic talking through all of that. But there was a lot of different topics that were covered in the book that I think for me was just really good to address head on.
What about the whole sexuality thing? I feel like that's what's getting picked up everywhere as a headline from your book.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I'm actually okay with it being picked up in the manner that I think it's okay to talk through that with people, and understand that there is no right or wrong. There's just what you need to figure out about yourself and where you're leaning and stuff. And for me, I just think I realized I just needed time to figure out where my beliefs laid. I was always told what I was. I was always put in a box. I was always labeled as something. And I think it was more so me discovering, just because I'm a football player doesn't mean I have to be a player. You don't have, those two things aren't hand in hand. And having that sort of hyper masculine culture and being surrounded in that environment and stuff, I think really played a factor into me struggling with it.
How did Cassie handle all of this when the headlines came out and everybody's discussing your sexuality? How's she handling all this?
I mean, it's not new to her. I mean, we've talked about it before, so it's not like it was a big surprise to her. She's always been so supportive, always been there to listen, talk through things with me. So it was nothing that caught her off guard. I mean, everything that she's read about, me or the books and everything I've said, we've had those conversations before.
What about her family? Because you're staying at her house, right?
Yeah.
Did her family, her mom or dad or sisters have anything to say, brother?
No, nobody really brings it up. Obviously, they're very supportive of the book, and they're very supportive and loving people. And I mean, I've lived in their house now for a month, so I feel like I'm part of the family too.
You're in.
Yeah.
Is there a proposal coming, perhaps? I mean, you're in there now. This has become true family.
I know, they always say quarantine can either make or break you, and for Cass and I, it's been great. I mean, obviously we don't live together, other than quarantining, but we're in different bedrooms. So we're still getting to know each other, and there's still things that Cass that surprise me, and vice versa. And I think it's just so cool and interesting to still be a year and a half into our relationship and finding new things out, finding what we like and what we don't like, and how we work together. It's just, to be honest with you, it's cool.
What are you discovering? Tell me some.
Oh, shoot. Even now, she discovered sometimes I'm a drama queen and I'm a terrible patient. I've learned that she's very loving and kind and sympathetic, but yet very direct. She's like the type of nurse that no, you need to take this medication. I want to shove it down your throat, stuff. She's very, very persistent, I would say, in all the good ways.
To get the book published, how does it work within the Bachelor community? Like, do you have to sign a contract? You can't talk about things for a certain number of years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're under contract and you're exclusive with the Bachelor production company, and you need to work with them a little bit. But for me, the book was just so, like I said, emotional and therapeutic that I think hopefully they respected it. I changed names where I needed to change names, and I wasn't trying to take anybody down in the book. I was just trying to share my story and my side of things, and I hope that people respect that.
Because Blake, I think it was, that came out and said that the producers, he sort of used the word bully to describe them. What's your situation like with them?
My situation with them is more so, I've been frustrated, I've been mad, I've been angry, but at the end of the day, I'm still appreciative of having the experience and getting Cassie out of all of this. I would say that I'm a lot more aware, and it's not, I'll be very honest with you, it's not the best relationship, but it's still one that I have respect for them. They're very good at their jobs. They put on a heck of a TV show and they put a good product out there. But I just felt like, I have my life and I want to go live it how I want to live it. I don't want to feel like people have this control or this manipulation over me.
So like, what were they trying to manipulate you or to have you do or not do?
I just think it was more so always a conversation of, hey, I know we had an understanding of it, the TV show being made, and it is a TV show, but at the end of the day, I'm Colton and I'm going to have a life after this. I'm not going to be your Bachelor year in, year out. So I need to be able to live with the decisions that I make for the TV show. So it was always a conversation of, I'll do it until I can't anymore. And I think that's sort of what everybody watched unfold.
Did you watch last season with Peter, and did you love Barb in the Box? I mean, I wanted to call your cute mom.
I know my mom was so thankful that didn't happen to her on my season. But
it was the first time ever, I think, that we saw a parent like that.
Well, it's because they don't sign up for that show. So, you know what I mean? Their son or their daughter do. And I don't know. I actually, very transparent, I didn't watch. I sort of had a little PTSD, so I didn't watch the season. But I have social media. I'm obviously in the world. I get tagged in things. I knew enough to know what was going on, but I never actually sat down and watched the show.
Yes. Okay, first of all, a couple of headlines from the book.
Yes.
See if you want to comment on this. You turned to Google to help you with your sexuality. Is that true?
Yes. So that was a story that I shared in the book. Was my dad caught me on Google, questioning, looking at, porn, trying to figure out where it was. I think that was one of those examples of me internalizing, not feeling comfortable enough to go to anybody to talk with, and I just had to problem solve on my own. And I don't recommend it for people.
Here we go. The Bachelor helped you realize that you were not gay.
That one's a little misleading in the fact that it's not necessarily true. Like that headline does not read true to the statement of what I shared in the book and what my opinion on my identity and sexuality is. I think that it helped me not run away from relationships and not be able to have an excuse to get out of a relationship, in which I did quite a bit. But I think that headline is just a little blunt and not accurate.
The Hannah Kalin drama wasn't what it seemed.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, it's true. And I know I'll probably catch some slack for doing that, but I didn't share anything new out of that. But I think that hopefully it helps people understand why I was frustrated with that situation, because there was more going on, but they wouldn't let them get into it fully. So all it did was confuse me. And now I'm sitting here like, okay, I know there's more to the story, but they don't want you to talk about it. So what was the point of it even getting brought up or brought into the TV show? So, that was more so me talking out loud in the book and trying to let people know, like, if you were wondering and confused about the whole drama, so was I. I wasn't trying to take a shot at Hannah or Kalin either. I mean, they both obviously reconciled, and you saw that unfold on TV. But yeah, definitely there was more to it and stuff going on, but none of us knew. What
do you think about Hannah and Tyler doing a little quarantine action? I think she's back home now.
I think I've seen like 10 or 15 TikToks of them. They're
You
going,
and Cassie got to get your game going.
I know, but I was sleeping 15, 16 hours a day when that was all going on. So we have a lot to make up for. I mean, if they seem very happy, they seem more friendly right now than romantic partners, which is good because that's a good base to maybe start a relationship off. And I think they both are just spending time on themselves and supporting each other when they can. So that's a sign of a healthy relationship to me.
Do you ever look back at VIP, Bachelor in Paradise? I just feel like you got set up on that thing. I think you were so much happier once you left.
Yeah, I will say that Bachelor in Paradise was definitely a sort of a rough go for me. I called it my personal hell. Yeah, there was definitely some things that I got drug into, and maybe not the fairest situations that I had to deal with, but I felt like I at least could hang my hat on staying true to myself and holding to my values and my beliefs.
Did you hear this season? There's this really cute girl on there, Madison, who was a virgin, and she kind of caught flack for not wanting to go to the fantasy suite. Did you get to watch or see any of that?
I got filled in, and I know Cass has probably spoken with her too. So yeah, I saw that, and I saw on social media, obviously people were comparing how we revealed it. And my comment on that is it's not anybody else's story to tell or anybody else's right to tell her when she needed to reveal that. Whenever she's comfortable and wants to have that conversation, feels like it's appropriate, then go for it. I mean, I wrote in my book, I wasn't planning on talking about my virginity at all. And it came out within like the first week. And I'm like, here we go. So there's no right or wrong. It's just your truth and your honesty.
Interesting, though. Do you think you were treated different than Madison? I feel like people were harder on you as a male.
Oh, 100%. And my views on that, we unfortunately still live in a hyper masculine culture. I always try to tell people, I wasn't ever really super offended, and I didn't try not to take it personal, but I always wanted to remind people the show's about love. It wasn't about trying to get a dude laid. And, if the roles were reversed and you had Hannah standing up there and a dude went and popped a cherry in her face, that it would be completely different.
Right.
Where a guy wet the driveway down and made a sexual innuendo there. It's like, but since I'm a guy and I'm a tough football player, I'm supposed to take it. It's like, I understood. And I thank God I didn't take it personal. I didn't take offense to it at the time, but I just think that speaks volumes of where we're at as a culture. We're not there yet. We're trying to get to be a little more respectful with it, but we're still trying to figure out how.
Okay. What about this? Did you want to quit your season before the fantasy suite? Before that came up? I know that was a big thing with Madison.
My season?
Your season.
I don't think I ever really wanted to quit my season per se. Other than when I lost Cass, then I obviously did, because I was like, okay, this is over.
And I'm over
but I knew,
and I am out.
Yeah, and I knew my fantasy suite week was going to be different, and I knew where they were going with it and what they wanted to get out of it, and all I wanted to get out of it was clarity and like try to communicate with each girl that I'm into Cassie. And like, I didn't know how I was going to do that. Obviously it all played out how it did. But I always tried to hang my hat on being very direct and very honest with people. And that was the hardest part for me doing the TV show, is you have to sort of mislead or misguide people at times.
Do you ever whisper? I always wonder this, like if I knew, like you knew it was Cassie and we could kind of tell watching, we were hoping it was her. Do you ever whisper in her ear, like, listen, just, you're the one, just go with it. You know what I mean? Stick with me.
Yeah, well, there's a story. So there's a story in the book where she sort of asked me point blank, like, how do you not know by now? And there was a part of me that was like, I want to tell her it might be her, but I still didn't know at the time because it was week 4. I had a good sense, but I also didn't want to set myself up to look like a jackass if I was like, it's you, and then all of a sudden, it's somebody else. So I never wanted to just be like fully transparent in the fact that, I was just trying to figure it out.
You ever the signal, like?
Yeah, right. A wink, wink.
Did you ever break up right after the season and get back together?
We did. So we broke up in August briefly, for like 48 hours, maybe 72, if that.
What did you do?
Yeah. I just think it was just, we were both moving a million miles an hour. She had her things going on. I had mine. I was traveling quite a bit. We weren't communicating like we used to. And we just sort of had a lot of built up tension that we didn't talk about or address, and we finally did, and it was good. And I don't know. I mean, looking back now, it seems so silly, but yeah, it was tough to go through that.
How's it going quarantine time together? They say this could be very interesting for a lot of couples.
It's been so good. I mean, obviously we had very early on something to work through, and she was an amazing nurse. I was a terrible patient. I will fully admit that. I was not very patient with everything, and I didn't like being isolated to a room, but obviously it all paid off, and I'm so happy that they're all healthy and everybody now is healthy.
What was the worst part of the virus?
I actually think just the scariest part is just the unknown right now. I think having something that there's not a lot of information about, or the symptoms were so different. You were hearing so many different things in the media about what it was and what it wasn't. I think that was, for us, or for me at least, the most concerning of like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I'm going to combat it right now, because there is no technically cure. But
Yeah.
I think that was just the unknown was the scariest part.
What do you say to people out there that sort of aren't taking this that seriously or think it's not a big deal? I mean, you're a healthy young guy. So
Yeah, I think that's why I wanted to sort of document, or at least share my experience with it, especially because I had it so early on in this, where people were still like, oh, it only affects older people, you're good. Yeah, that's not the case. So I would tell people, if you're not going to do it for yourself, at least do it for the people you love.